Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mandu Surprise live stream and April Fool's live stream. I was going to start off with some type of April Fool's joke like this or that, but I don't know. They kind of scare me, April Fool jokes. I'm a little bit too superstitious for saying something that I don't want to be true and might come true. But um, I know that we did this last time, I guess, at the last opening of the first parole hearing since. Yeah, buddy, what's up, Jesse? Sorry, boss, but Mandu is on. Hello, Nader. So there's a few things. Hello, Wendy, lovelies. Yes, Jesse with the trophy. I don't know who's gonna be on the board today, and I'm excited. I actually am really excited. I am hoping it's the sheriff because for whatever reason I want to see the sheriff, um, and see what he's like on the board. Yo, everyone, what's up, Zeza, Jojo, Tasha, Patrick in the house, Nick, is that a new PP or is that a Nick? I don't know. Um, So, and also it's interesting to think, but the last time we did a live, Richard was out for surgery, and now Richard is back, and I have my spreadsheet all taken care of. It's a beautiful thing. I know who's on the docket. I know what they've done. I know, so it's all there beautifully in the spreadsheet. So it's going to be an interesting case of hearings. Hi, Carol. And Carol, for those of you who don't know, when Richard went, what's up from Marty from Australia 74 D's, Beck 77, Crispy, and Peaches. And Mike, what's up, Mike? So Carol, Richard did this on his own. When he was going to have surgery, he reached out to Carol and he said, Carol, can you help Mandu with the research? This is this is the that, this is. And Carol had been sending the research in an email, which takes a lot of work. Each email included multiple attachments. She was screenshotting, downloading, doing a lot of work. And then when Richard came back, Richard said, okay, Carol, you did a good job. You are now relieved of your duty. But thank you, Carol. Yeah, I have a beautiful spreadsheet here for April Fools. There's one, I'll tell you now. So we have one case, Dalton Knight, who is a cockroach that we covered back in October. We had his initial parole hearing in October. He had done things to, I think it was a 14-year-old. So we'll probably, when we do that hearing, we'll probably blend the two together like we usually do. So we have October and then present. We have a woman, which is a big case. I think this is the one that Carol pointed out, actually, right, Carol? You pointed this out. This is a very big case, for a major, what was it, homicide in 1981, first-degree murder. This is one that might make the headlines. So there's a lot of news articles on it. That's probably going to be over an hour long. What happened to Miss Jackson? So they had a new governor. A new governor was elected, a Republican governor, tough on crime guy, but it's regardless of what party he'd be on. Governors select their, they handpick their parole board. So with the new governor, you see new parole board members. So yeah, I like the long hearings too, Jesse. I do. I just need to figure out how I'm going to do this. One is I don't know how long I'll be live today, and then two is, I think what we do is we have the live stream, but then I'll make an official stream afterwards, because that's just the way that we do it. Who else do we have? We have a revocation today, but I don't know much about him. We have someone who's wanted for second-degree murder in 1977. You bet that the Louisiana Zeza, a member for 7 months. I do want to, let me give a shout out while I'm doing this. I was looking through some information and I realized there are some of you who I have not given a proper shout out to. And I feel badly about that. So, and I'm sure there are a lot of you who I have not given proper shout outs to, actually. I'm not good at it. I can get better. And I want you to know that it's not. Pam, for 10 straight months. Way to go. Oh, we're starting.
All right. Good morning. Committee on Parole is called to order this morning. Today is Monday, April 1st, 2024. The time is 9:05.
This is that big case we were talking about that's going to last an hour. They're starting with a bang. So let's go.
a.m. My name is Cheryl Renatz. I'm serving as chairman of today's parole panel. My colleagues on the panel with me this morning, seated to my left, Mr. Steve Prater, to my right, Mr. Chucky Tillis. We are at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. I'd like to get the staff here at DOC headquarters to introduce yourself for the record, please. Jason Company.
We got Chucky Tillis. We got our sheriff. I was hoping we would have him. There he is. Who's excited to see Chucky? Let's see.
LCIW, please introduce yourself for the record.
Kristen Thomas, Warden.
Sarah P., ARDC Manager. Acting Gaddy, ARDC Supervisor.
Okay, thank you. And we have our first case is Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number, please.
My name's Thea Johnson. My DOC number is 436763.
Okay, and you have counsel this morning. Counsel, would you introduce yourself, please?
Good morning, Robert Lancaster with LSU Parole and Reentry Clinic here today representing Ms. Johnson. With me is Sydney Curtis. She's a third-year law student in the Parole and Reentry Clinic. She's certified under Rule 20. So she will be representing Ms. Johnson today as a certified legal intern.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Lancaster, will you also be participating in the presentation? I have that you'll be speaking. Will you be speaking at the end?
If the committee deems it appropriate, Ms. Curtis would make the final statement at the end of the hearing.
Okay, thank you. And let me recognize the folks who are here today in support. We have the Parole Project, Carrie Myers, who will be speaking at the appropriate time. We have there at LCIW, your aunt, Miss Linda. Let's see, cousin, Charlene, your dad, Mr. Joey, stepmother, Francine. Let's see. And here at headquarters, we have Kathleen Jennings, Carolyn Adams, Christy Sheremy, Michelle Rhodes, and also on Zoom, we have Cynthia DeQueer, who is observing. Here in opposition, we have Scotty Johnson, Larry Walker, Johnny Johnson, Dwayne Walters, Libby Johnson, and the DA's office with Mr. Philip Terrell and Derek Johnson. And for those who've indicated they'd like to speak at the appropriate time, we'll allow them to do so. First, Thea, I'm going to read some information into the record. I'm going to ask you to verify that information.
Okay, you know me, I don't do pauses and stops, right? Not because we all hate that, but maybe because I'm doing a live stream, it's a little different. We can always, I don't know, you just tell me how you want me to do this. But I did want to point out the new board members that I am very excited about seeing. So we are having this sheriff, who I just really am excited to see. He's Steve Prater. So he was a Shreveport Police Department for 19 years, worked patrol detectives, narcotics. I view him as like the Grady, right, of Florida. I don't know why, but he kind of reminds me of that. And then we also have Chucky Tillis, who was a preacher, which, interesting to have him there. But he was in a 30 years president of oil plant maintenance, but then 15 years he selflessly dedicated himself to prison ministry in Angola. So you can imagine that he might be a little more empathetic towards prisoners, and it's on the other side of the aisle, someone who is tough on crime. But let's jump back in for this hearing.
Then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Prater. Your case has been assigned to him this morning. He'll take the lead on the interview. Once we're done with our questions, we'll hear from the folks who want to speak on your behalf and support. We'll call on them. Then we'll hear from the opposition. And at the end, you'll be allowed to make a statement before your attorney makes their presentation and closes it out for us, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So you are Thea Johnson. Your DOC number is 436763. You're currently serving a life sentence. You were sentenced in Rapides Parish, most recently, July 27th, 2018, for a first-degree murder. That was resentencing where the parole restriction was removed from your sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So your parole eligibility date is determined to be July 22nd, 2024. Is that your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you answer Mr. Prater's questions, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. You
Good
doing
morning.
okay today?
Yes,
All right.
sir.
First thing I'd like to know is how old were you exactly when this offense occurred?
I was 17 years old.
Okay, and how close to your 18th birthday?
Approximately a month.
Okay. All right, that's one thing that when I made some notes here, I was kind of curious about, because I know that you were re-sentenced to where you're eligible for parole, but had this occurred 3 weeks later, you wouldn't have had that opportunity. So because of that Supreme Court ruling, you did get lucky by 3 weeks, and so that was a good thing. I read the file, and there was a lot of things in there, as you would know, and as I'm sure you're very familiar with. Some things that bothered me was the fact that I know the contention is that the boyfriend killed your mom, and not you. You were just there, but there was some money and VCRs and things like that stolen. Whose idea was that?
That was his idea. It was done after the fact, and he decided that he needed to take those things so he could sell them for money.
Okay. And then I know these are difficult things to talk about because I'm sure you want to put this out of your mind and don't want to go back over it, but it's some things I need to clear up maybe in my mind. Is once your mom was deceased, then you disposed of the body. Who was leading the charge on this? Who was like, go get a trash bag, help me get her in a trash bag, that sort of thing?
That was what he told me what to do and what to get, and I did comply with what he asked me to do.
Okay. And I assume the cleaning up the crime scene also. Did you go and get the bleach, or did he go and get it, or what happened with that?
He did go and get it. And basically I remember him he poured the bleach in everywhere, and he made the comment that if he could put the bleach on the blood, that it would destroy the DNA and they wouldn't know if it was just one person's blood or more than one person.
Okay. All right. And then of course you disposed of the body and all that, and we know that. And then y'all went on the run. And while you were actually on the run is when you turned 18, correct? In the 3 weeks or so that you were on the lam and headed to Mexico, you turned 18.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you were caught, and the rest of it is history. Once you've been incarcerated, I noticed that you've done some really great things as far as your certificates and all of that. How many certificates do you think you have? I didn't count them all, but I know there were a lot, and I read each one of them.
Somewhere around maybe 45.
Okay. So you've taken good use of your time while you've been incarcerated.
I have
So
tried, sir.
I commend you for that. I really do. One thing I was troubled with was an incident in 2022 where you got into some kind of altercation. I see you're kind of shaking your head. You know where I'm going with this. Could you tell me about that? I know that you were disciplined for aggravated fighting, I believe is what it was.
Yes, sir. It was a situation that happened at the spur of the moment. I did not think before I acted, and it was a very unfortunate, and it's something I really, really regret. Since then, I've actually taken a couple of classes that dealt with the fact that I should have asked for help instead of reacting so quickly. You know, I did not at that point I did not think before I acted, but now I know that it doesn't cost anything just to stop for a minute before you do something. And that can completely prevent an unfortunate incident like this from happening.
Okay, that's good words. But what actually happened? What made it aggravating?
I really don't know why they said it was aggravated fighting. I think because there was more than two people involved. I think if it was more than two people involved, they consider it aggravated, or you have to have some kind of weapon or something. But I didn't have anything like that. There were three people involved in this fight, so that's why they considered it aggravated.
Because I normally in crime business, you think of aggravated as with a weapon or whether it's serious injury or something like that. But in this case, was there a weapon involved or serious injury?
No, sir. There was no weapon. It was just what they would call a typical fight, but because it was involving three people instead of two, they labeled it as an aggravated.
Okay. All right. I think that's about all the questions that I have. And you've been in jail for how long?
Almost 25. It'll be 4 months short of 25 years.
Okay. All right. And that's all the questions that I have there, Chairman.
Thank you. And so today, how old are you?
I am 42 years old.
And we refer to your co-defendant as your boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am. He was at the time. Yes, ma'am.
How long has you and he been in a relationship?
About approximately like 6 to 8 months.
Warden Thomas, is there anything you can tell us about Ms. Johnson?
Yeah, she is medium custody offender. She has kind of like Mr. Prater had mentioned, just participated in quite a lot of different programs here, whether they were awarded CTRP credits or not. So I think that's something good to note, that, you know, she was willing to participate in the class, whether there was some good time credits awarded. She has completed MRT and Thinking for a Change. She has a low risk score. She also participates in Lifers and Toastmasters. So no real issues other than, you know, we had that hiccup that we kind of talked about with 2022 fight. Really since 2017, you know, have not really had any issues or anything. So.
Thank you. Appreciate it. At this time, we'll hear from the folks who want to speak in support. First, we'll hear from the Parole Project.
Yes, good morning. Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. Parole Project is prepared to offer Ms. Johnson long-term support. We understand that, you know, as a juvenile, when she was arrested at age 17, and the length of time that she spent, that she's going to need some transition services. Obviously, the world has changed, and Parole Project will provide those things. We'll provide peer mentorship, which essentially is a coach to help her through the transition process. We'll make sure she has all her documentation, that she's connected to healthcare services. We'll make sure that she receives full programming. That will include financial literacy, technology. Obviously, the technology gap is going to be significant. But not only that, goal setting, practical applications, consumer skills, how not simple things, just how to live in today's world, including we'll be providing her transitional housing for as long as needed. So we want this board to know the Parole Project is prepared to give her full support.
Thank you. I don't see where there are any other speakers here in support, so we'll hear next from the opposition. First,
Ms. Renata, we have two that are here.
okay, who are they, please?
Linda Butts,
Okay, and who's the other second speaker?
Rhodes, cousin.
Okay, well, go ahead, Ms. Linda, go ahead and tell us what you'd like us to hear. I'm sorry, it wasn't marked on my sheet. I didn't realize you wanted to speak.
Okay, well, good morning. My name is Linda Freddie Butts. I am Thea's aunt on her daddy's side. I am here today to support Thea. I would like to thank the parole board for giving her this chance. Over the years, I have gotten to know Thea very well. I know that. I need to stand up. Can you see me? I've gotten to know Thea very well. I know that she is bright, intelligent, friendly, and outgoing person. She tries to maintain a positive mental attitude. She is a well-adjusted, mature person. Her seminary training has given her a strong foundation in what a Christian is. She is a true believer and lives it in her daily life. I am so proud of Thea's faith, strength, and determination to make the most of her situation. She has proved that she has a genuine desire to be helpful to her fellow inmates and want to continue helping them when she gets out. She was chosen to teach a seminary class, a safe cert class, and has been very helpful.
All right, I'm just going to stop this. I mean, I'm not going to stop it. I'll let it keep going. But if there's any time to interrupt, it'll be now. Just a reminder, everyone, I will show this hearing at a later premiere. I'm going to tie two hearings together because her co-defendant shows up today. So to have both of their stories tied together is going to be really interesting. And thank you, Richard, for tying that together. But so far, what do you think of the sheriff? I like his accent, but let's see how the hearing goes and wait for the opposition. And thank you, Zeza, for the memberships and also the super chat. And also thank you, Guiltless, for the super chat.
For self-improvement and to help others. I have been standing by Thea for 24 years, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and financially. I will be here for her in every way I can. All of our family will stand with her. I developed a relationship with Christine Johnson, that's Thea's grandmother. Thea's grandmother before she got sick. I know that she would be here to support Thea if she was able to. She is in a nursing home. She has dementia. She doesn't know Thea anymore. I'm asking that you show fairness and mercy to her request for parole. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your input. All right, next.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Charlene Rhodes. I'm Thea's cousin. In the time I've known Thea, I mean, I've been in her life as long as I've been alive. But as I've gotten older, we've spoken pretty much on the weekly. We've connected, we bonded. She's one of the softest, sweetest people I've ever met. Her soul is genuine and kind through and through. Me and my husband own a couple of local businesses where we live, and in the future, after her parole project would end, we are prepared to be able to help her get a job, have a place to live. We're always going to be there to help support her, emotionally, financially, spiritually, in whatever way we can. My business partner owns apartments. We already have our own list for that. I own a cafe tea store that we need people who are really good and serve safe and know about, are really good with public health. So, you know, we're prepared to do whatever we have to do. We're a family and we stand together and we're strong. And we love her very, very much. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
The
Thank you for being
sweetest
here.
and
We
kindest,
appreciate that.
sweetest and kindest person.
Now, we do have in the record for your information, Thea, some other family members have expressed opposition to favorable consideration, and that's in the record. We'll hear from the opposition. Could we first hear from Larry Walker, please?
My name is Larry Walters. I am the brother-in-law to Linda Kyle, who was viciously murdered. And by the guilty, they confessed. And here today, we hear that she got blamed for others, but yet she did confess. She pleaded for life without parole in lieu of the death sentence. She is very manipulative. She has been able to con as many people as I know go her way in various things when I knew her before all this happened. And as the verdict, the penalty was given, was justice being served. Today, I ask the board to consider holding fast that original verdict.
Mr. Walker. Dwayne Walters. Excuse me, that's great. Thank you for the opportunity. Linda was the only sister who almost here. And with all this has come out, it's just impacted my life. I even had to take off for Tuesday from my job because all those images that I saw, it's just, it floods. I see the coagulated blood. I see the drag marks. Me and my nephew found a piece of her brain that they put in a garbage bag. And she, always blames others. And I know she was in on it. She is a new person. And I beg the board this morning, please listen to the plea of a family that had to deal with this and still has to deal with it today, to please not release. Thank you, ma'am. And Libby. Libby Johnson.
Good morning. My name is Libby Johnson, and Linda Kyle was my sister-in-law, my best friend. I was married to her brother Wayne, and she passed away on January 1st, or he would be with us today. But in 1999, our lives changed, my life changed. It was a horrible situation. And I knew with the results of what we were told that Linda suffered, she suffered dearly. And I just don't think her sentence should be changed. She should stay where she's at. She's never showed remorse, and she just needs to be where she's at. She destroyed our whole family, and we've never been the same since then.
Thank you. Right. Ms. Thea, is there anything you'd like to say before we're gonna hear from you, and then we'll hear from your attorney, and then the DA's office will close it out for us.
Yes, ma'am. There's not a day that has gone by that I don't carry this. And I don't deny the fact. And I take responsibility because it was my actions and my choices that caused it. I don't deny that. And I know I've hurt so many people. And I can't take that back, and I wish I could. But I've done everything every day to try to walk and never be that person again. I was young and I was stupid and I've walked every day since then to let my mama's life that she lost be a banner for me to be the best person I can be, no matter where I'm at, no matter who needs my help, no matter what I do. And I'm sorry it's not good enough. And I wish it was, but it's not, and it'll never be. But as Mr. Prater said, these seasons I've tried to take every class that was available. I've learned so much, and I learned the pain that I've caused is so large. And I've taken every chance to, every explanation in every class that has explained how much pain I have caused and how hurt and the different, not only physical, emotional, if I'm given the chance, I'm going to take every opportunity available to me to continuously move forward, listen to my mentors, ask for help, no matter what situation I get myself in, that I know that there are people that'll help me now where I didn't before. And I just thank the board for giving me the opportunity to speak. And I thank everybody that's here, everyone that's here.
Thank you, Neil. Ms. Curtis?
Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Cindy Curtis, and I'm a third-year law student at LSU. I'm certified under Louisiana Supreme Court Rule 20, representing Ms. Thea Johnson for her parole application. Thank you for this opportunity. The United States Supreme Court in Miller v. Alabama held that juvenile offenders are fundamentally different from adult offenders. Specifically, the court found that juveniles have the biggest capacity to grow, to mature, to change, and to one day re-enter society. Ms. Johnson is unrecognizable from who she was, a teenage girl almost 25 years ago. At the age of 17, while still in high school, a 31-year-old man found a vulnerable high schooler to latch on to. Ms. Johnson was in a position where she was consumed by that man. He used tactics like over flattery to win over her trust. And then as soon as he built her trust, he used that trust to manipulate her by moving into her room, being with her in the car at all times. Ms. Johnson was consistently tired and exhausted, and he was constantly calling the shots, and she felt that she was in a position that she could not say no, and she felt vulnerable. But Ms. Johnson is not that teenage girl anymore. Now at 42, she has committed herself to self-growth by taking as many classes as possible. She has close to 50 certificates through all the different programs that she has participated in. And she has found faith in God through different programs like Kairos and the Exodus Training Center, which she has found through her daily life gives her hope and gives her courage that she can change, that she can become stronger from who she was at the age of 17. And through classes like moral recognition therapy and thinking for a change, Ms. Johnson has grown into a woman that is independent. She's no longer codependent like she was at 17. She knows how to set healthy boundaries, which she was unable to do when she was still a high schooler. and she has learned to acknowledge her emotions and process them and to react properly. And I know the committee today has raised concerns about Ms. Johnson's most recent write-up. However, Ms. Johnson recognizes that she made a mistake that day and she deeply regrets it. And she has taken courses to work on what led to that altercation by taking Living in Balance, Sister's Keeper, and Life's Healing Choices. And she has learned now from that mistake. And further, 75% of her write-ups were in the first decade, and 96% of her write-ups were in the first 15 years of her incarceration. So only 4%, 2 of her write-ups have occurred in the last decade, which has shown how much Ms. Johnson has grown through her time in incarceration, how much effort she's put into herself to grow and become a better person. And Ms. Johnson was given a low Tiger score in December of 2023, which occurred after the write-up in 2022. And it stated that she has a low risk for recidivism. And so that write-up specifically does not define who Ms. Johnson is and that she is not a risk to society, and she has grown. And beyond just focusing on herself while incarcerated, Ms. Johnson has found a passion for serving others by participating in community service events like Serenity Gardens, Autism Walk, Children's Extravaganza. But her favorite way of serving others is by teaching. And she's found that through being a ServSafe instructor and a CTE tutor. And many of her peers look up to her and find her to be the shoulder that they lean on. And finally, Honorable Committee, Ms. Johnson has a strong reentry plan. She is going to be a long-term resident at the Parole Project, where they will provide her a case manager, where she will have mentors that can guide her through that process, where she will have housing, they will help her with employment. And she also plans to complete her associate's degree because through Ashland University, she has 2 years, if granted parole, to finish her degree because education's always been one of her top priorities. And for all these reasons and reasons articulated at this hearing and in the brief submitted on Ms. Johnson's behalf, Ms. Johnson respectfully requests that this honorable committee grant her parole with any conditions the committee deems appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you for your brief. It was very thorough. It was very helpful. We'll go call Mr. Terrell, the DA's office, to close it out for us, please.
Do they now give the DA final word? Is this a mistake or is this like the new process? The DA never has the final word. So this is interesting. Okay.
Did you want me to speak first before Mr. Terrell? I can't hear anybody.
Mr. Terrell, you're on mute still.
Can y'all hear me?
We can't hear Mr. Terrell.
Okay, can I go before him?
We're gonna let him close it out for us.
Okay.
Are you Mr. Derek Johnson?
Yes, ma'am. I work for Mr. Terrell.
Let's just let the ADA close it. I mean,
Let's see.
You would think by 2024, the ADA's office would know how to use Zoom.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and ladies and gentlemen in the audience. Philip Terrell on behalf of the state of Louisiana and the victims in this matter. I'm really glad that Thea has taken advantage of all the opportunities to better herself provided by the prison system. I'm glad that she's had some benefit, but let's not forget why Thea's in prison. The soft, sweet person described by our cousin pled guilty to the worst crime under Louisiana law. She pled guilty to first-degree murder. The family support described by the two ladies who spoke on her behalf, one of them, her cousin, who said she's known her entire life. Let's think about that a minute. She's got family support. Well, the person she murdered, the person she took part in taking life, was the very person who gave her life. The very person who gave her life, her mother. Life's not a movie. Kind of reminds me of Natural Born Killers. Life's not a movie. Our actions have consequences. The consequence of Thea's action had devastating consequences to all the victims who came before y'all and spoke. Devastating consequences that can't be erased, that they have to live with every day. They have to live with those things for the rest of their lives, day in and day out. Part of criminal sentences, part of life sentences, have to do with retribution. Part of those have to do with paying our bills. That's what Thea's doing now. I'm glad that she's able to help some people in the prison system. I'm glad she's growing and learning. Have to point out, as the sheriff pointed out earlier, she had a hiccup. She got in a fight. She's not ready to get out. She's not ready for parole. The victims who spoke to y'all have an interest. They have an interest in Thea staying in prison for the crime she committed. She killed her mother. She murdered her mother. The state of Louisiana and the victims stand before this board today and ask you not to grant her parole because it's the right thing to do. She pled guilty to first-degree murder, the crime of murdering her mother. Thank you very much.
So, thank you, Mr. Terrell. All right, is the panel prepared to vote? Mr. Prater?
So what do you guys think? You think that they're going to vote to parole? I got to say that was a good DA final statement. I know I'm going to start the premiere. I'm going to start with, I think, his statement, because that paints the picture of what happened. Because really listening to the hearing, we didn't get the idea that she killed her own mother. And then she actually, thank you, Richard, for the information. They hit her mother in the body of her own car, drove the car into a lake, then ran away to Mexico. And on only coming back from Mexico did she then admit guilt and show them where her mother's body was. But do you think that they are going to grant? Do you think they're going to grant? Put 1 for yes, 2 for no, and then we're going to jump in. But yeah, I mean, the sheriff, how was his interview style? I like his accent, but he didn't really dive into it. He didn't do like a Miss Jackson. He didn't do a Mr. O'Shea. So we'll have to kind of figure these things out. But the idea of killing your own mother, and I get she was just about to turn 18 and she had a 33-year-old boyfriend and maybe she bucked, dude. So it looks like we got a lot of no, not grants. That seems to be the majority here. We're gonna, I don't think I've seen a 1 yet. So let's jump in.
Okay, my vote is to deny this parole. I don't want you to give up hope. There'll be a chance that you'll come back to us. I want there to be longer time between your latest discipline, that you made a bad decision. I mean, that's what started this whole thing, a bad decision. So I'd like to see some more time. And I also took into consideration, besides that, the age. You missed it by 3 weeks or we wouldn't even be here. And so that was pretty close to what I'd call maybe the not legal definition of age of accountability, but by law it was. So your age when it occurred, you were almost 18, the recent fight, and of course the victim impact. So my vote would be to at this particular time deny your request.
Mr. Taylor?
I commend all the services and classes you've taken. The choices we choose, the choices we have to live with. I agree with my colleague at this time to deny.
All right, Ms. Johnson, my vote is the same. You know, I appreciate the hard work that you put in. You know, the hiccup that we're calling a hiccup, the fight in 2022 is concerning to me about your capacity for decision making. That was after you took the Thinking for Change, which was supposed to help you learn to make better decisions. So you still have some more work to do. I don't think you're quite ready. Today, your parole application has been denied. Good luck to you. Thank you, Mr. Lancaster. Thank you, Ms. Curtis. Thanks to everybody participating.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I think that concludes our business at LCIW. We're going to sign off at 9:42.
Wow.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna they're not doing a hearing now, so we can jump in for another hearing. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna do this, but remember, I'm going to do a proper premiere of this hearing with a proper unpacking. But for those of you who are curious, who we just saw was, I'm very excited to meet, this is like the Sheriff Judd, JD Judd. Why am I Sheriff Judd? Sheriff Judd, Grady Judd. He reminds me of the Louisiana version of him. So he was with the Shreveport Police Department for 19 years, working patrol, detective, and narcotics before being appointed chief of police and held that position for over 18 years. So he's known as then he was elected, or he's elected as sheriff of Cato Parish, where he held it for 6 terms. So he's interesting, and I'm excited to see him in action. And I wonder if his connection with the district attorney's office, if we're going to see more DAs show up. I'm just that, we'll have to see over time. And then the other person who didn't talk much but did a quick denial is the Angola preacher. I mean, he's just known for being, I think what's most notable is that his prison ministry in Angola. So, but we're going to have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hearings today where we're going to get to see all of them in action. I don't know how many of them I'm going to do. Like I said, we have a roach that we actually did in October of 2023. So we're going to tie those 2 hearings together. See you, Braden. But when it comes to this hearing, it did seem like she turned on her waterworks pretty easily. Her speech was like very prepared, and she was like trying to, it wasn't impressive. And she has those write-ups, which are a little bit, you don't see that often from the women's prison, write-ups for fighting. And just to be reminded, we can't get blinded by the whole wolf in sheep's clothing thing. She killed her mother. And to do that, there has to be something very wrong. You're missing some tuning up there. Just to let you know, the next hearing did not start yet, so I'm not talking over the next hearing. The next hearing, though, let's see if you're curious about it. It's actually a revocation hearing. Coy Simpson. So they threw this one on the docket. For Coy Simpson, let's see what information we have on him. It looks like we had his hearing once before. There's actually quite a lot of information on him. Thank you, Richard, for sharing it. So it looks like he likes to sue the prison. That's what I'm understanding. Oh, he was busted just recently, March 2023, for being the mastermind of bringing drugs into prison. Yeah, there's no chance he's going to get paroled. Oh, good luck, buddy. You are, I think I'm willing to say right now, if that's the same person, I don't think he has a shot. You don't have an article written up on you. Sheriff, 5 arrested over plot to smuggle drugs into parish jail. Yeah, good luck, buddy. He'll be the one that does get granted. Who? I'm just looking at the chat now. Hey, Frenchie. Yeah, I did see your face. And by the way, I'll zoom in. I figured out I have my auditing software. I can actually zoom in, which is really cool. It's like I finally figured out that I can do that. So I don't know if you guys have noticed in some of the recent hearings, I've been doing that. And also, I'm going to show you guys a Connecticut hearing tonight that you won't believe, but it's a chomo, of course, cockroach. And he gets engaged to his prison therapist, his prison psychiatrist. She resigns because it's illegal to have that relationship so that she can get engaged to a cockroach, if you can imagine. So yes, we're going to see that hearing tonight. And that is just blows my mind. It's absolutely nuts. I mean, can you imagine you go to school, you get the student debt, you become a therapist, you get a job at the DOC, and then you leave you resign so you can get married to a pedophile? You can't make it up. But that comes out in the hearing. How can you zoom pan? What you do with your finger? Hey, Christina. Christina's super mom. For all of you that don't know, she is super mom, super mod, and always high positive energy. You can feel it through every email, through every chat. Consistent, positive super mom energy. Special woman, Christina Mod is. Is Jam Jam still in the chat? I am lucky to have the best group of mods. I think we are so lucky, right? We're waiting for the next hearing to start. The next hearing is that revocation hearing. And then we have Dalton Knight, Dwayne Young, Charles, and Dwayne Baker. By the way, whenever I have two names that are similar in the docket, my brain has a hard time keeping track. It's very confusing for me. Richard does a good job making sure it takes away the confusion, but still, the way my brain works, my lines always cross on it. It's annoying. You're getting blood work, Jam Jam? Jam Jam is a USPS worker. That's how I remember when she first reached out, she's like, yeah, I'm doing my route. I have listening to Mandu. If I worked USPS, that's what I would do. I would have headset. I always have. I own like 5 pairs of the same Bluetooth, like $25 headset, but they always break. But I have 5 pairs because they're always breaking or they're not charged. And I always have something in my ears. Jam Jam is a superwoman. She's taking care of her poor husband, who seems to get a serious injury every like 3 or 4 months. She's a mom of young kids. She's running her mail route. It's quite impressive. And then modding. And buying everyone memberships all the time, which I think is totally like, Jam, you're modding. You shouldn't be buying memberships. Oh, Jam, I have a trucker's headset too. I could show it to you. Hold on, because for my RV. Here's my my trucker headset, but it's it's not comfortable the way that it sits. So it's really just for the RV driving. And I know I promised I'd wear my cowboy hat last time, so it's all bent out of shape. Here we go. Yeehaw! I got this as a gift, and it's designed that you're able to punch it up in, and then it like unfolds. But frankly, it always bothered me to do that, and I don't know, it kind of lost its form. I probably need to like steam it or something. It's supposed to do that, but oh, you're wearing the same one, Jim? It's a good headset, but it hurts me. This part hurts my ear if I wear it for more than like an hour. The next hearing did not start yet, for those of you who are wondering. And I think we'll only do one more before I jump off. Yeah, Mystery. You like the cowboy hat? Christina is right. There it is right there. I agree. Jam is Superwoman. I hope that I hope that I enunciated that. It was just at that moment we were talking about Christina Mod. And for those of you who missed it earlier, Carol had jumped in when Richard was out and was providing all the research, email by email, getting the attachments of each person, and really just a great team. I'm gonna miss you, Mandy, and everyone. Wait, what do you mean? What's happening, Synergy? Did I miss something? Where's Synergy going? Yeah, Richard is doing great. I think we might call it a miracle. In all seriousness, we didn't expect Richard to be with us for, even in the best case scenario, we're kind of expecting at least a month or two recovery, if a recovery at all. It was quite intense. Nightbot, behave. James Summers Jam, James Summers. Work again with our soldiers. So does that mean you're going offline, Synergy? Like what does that mean? Carol has been patiently waiting since November for these hearings, and I believe it. Carol has spent times at the Angola rodeo. She understands Louisiana and Angola. Carol's our native expert on Louisiana. I never asked Carol. Carol, what is it about Louisiana and Angola that is interesting to you? Okay, it looks like the hearings are starting. Whoops.
Panel seated to my left is Mr. Steve Prater, to my right, Mr. Chuck Tillis. Would the staff there at Iberville please introduce yourself for the record?
Good morning. This is Joe Dupont. I'm Coy Simpson's attorney, and Mr. Simpson is present. And Iberville Parish Warden is in the next room.
Okay, great, thank you. And you said you're Mr. Dupont?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I'm gonna, if I can get to the right page, I'm gonna read the allegations against Mr. Simpson and ask him to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. We'll have some questions. And at the end, we'll ask him for his statement if he has one, and then ask you to close it out. Is that okay with you? That process?
That's fine. That's fine.
So, Mr. Simpson, you're here for a revocation decision this morning. You ready to proceed?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Ms. Renata.
And I'm gonna read the allegations, ask you to enter your plea of guilty or not guilty, and then we'll talk about it, okay?
Okay.
So you're accused of violating conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 4. You engaged in criminal activity as evidenced by your arrest June 9, 2021 by the Louisiana State Police for possession of a firearm by a felon, 2 counts, illegal possession of stolen firearms, 2 counts, in possession with the intent to distribute cocaine, possession of a firearm with a controlled dangerous substance, and improper lane change. On November 9, 2023, you pled guilty to possession of marijuana and received a sentence of a $100 fine and court costs of 5 days parish jail. All other charges were dismissed. So how do you plead to violating that instance of condition number 4?
Not guilty. Not guilty.
Okay. Here we have another one, condition number 4, which states you also engaged in criminal activity as evidenced by your arrest March 13, 2023, for taking contraband to or from a penal institution in possession with intent to distribute methamphetamines by the Iberville Parish Sheriff's Department. These charges were not crossed on November 9, 2023. How do you plead to that violation?
Not guilty. Not guilty.
We have condition number 5, which states you were in possession of firearms as evidenced by your arrest June 9, 2021 for possession of a firearm by a felon, 2 counts, illegal possession of stolen firearms, 2 counts, and possession of a firearm, the controlled dangerous substance. During the search of the vehicle that you were driving on that day, June 9, 2021, per the police report from the Louisiana State Police, the faceplate of the center console, which houses the transmission shift knob and cup holders, was removed. Underneath the faceplate in a neutral void of the vehicle center console were 2 semi-automatic pistols. Pistols were later determined to be 9mm Ruger SR 1911, a Smith & Wesson 40 caliber. An NCIC inquiry later revealed both firearms had reported stolen. How do you violate condition number 5?
Rental verification. I don't know what that.
Not guilty.
And then we have condition number 10, which says you have made no payments toward your supervision fees and currently $1,953 in arrears. How do you plead, sir?
Not guilty.
Okay, well, let's address that first. So tell us, you say you're not guilty to being behind on your fees?
You are behind, but you've been doing community service. Explain that to us.
Well, I was behind Ms. Renata because I wasn't employed. I wasn't working in it due to the COVID situation. And I was doing community service.
Okay, that explains it. Okay, well, let's go back up to the 2021 charges with the firearms. Tell us what happened.
Tell me about the ministers. Would you like Mr. Simpson to address it first or me?
If you like, Mr. Dupont,
Yeah, let me, maybe I'll go first. Just, I want to ask y'all, did y'all have the opportunity to read the report from Chad Bordelon?
I don't know that I have.
He was, he came and conducted a preliminary hearing here at the jail, collected evidence and issued a report. Y'all didn't get to
Yes.
see it?
We did. Yes, we have that.
All right. Well, if you notice, count 4 and 5 are both from the same incident. And on the second page, you can see where, Mr. Simpson was participating with a community service program through, Ms. Chapman, with the peer ministry group. And on the day of that incident, he had ridden in a van with other individuals that were participating in that community service that day. They rode in the van from New Orleans to Angola, and then from Angola, they went to Baton Rouge. And while in Baton Rouge, Ms. Chapman, who was facilitating that program, asked Mr. Simpson if he would ride with Rondell Smith to Rain, Louisiana, to drop off some COVID supplies at this First Baptist Church. So had she not asked him to ride with Mr. Smith, who was driving his own vehicle, he'd have never ended up in that vehicle that day to begin with. Rondell Smith asked Mr. Simpson to drive because he said he was tired, just wanted someone else to drive. And that's when they got stopped. And that's how Mr. Simpson ended up in that vehicle. And all of the contraband, the guns, the drugs, all of that was hidden within the vehicle. None of it was in plain view. The only thing that would have been in plain view would have been a small amount of marijuana, which Mr. Simpson ultimately pled to possession of marijuana. The remaining charges, accompanying charges, were all dismissed, based primarily on what I just presented to the three of y'all, that he had no knowledge and it was by chance that he ended up in that vehicle. Mr. Rondell Smith did plead guilty, and in his guilty plea, confirmed that Mr. Simpson had no knowledge of the contraband or the guns that was in the vehicle, and exonerated him on those charges. And that being said, Coy, do you have anything to add on that, as far as how that transpired?
It was a vape pen, Ms. Renata. It wasn't marijuana itself. It was a vape pen that tested positive for marijuana, which I bought from the truck stop. They said it was CBD, but in the toxicology report, it said a CBD level was high enough for me to be charged with misdemeanor possession of marijuana.
Right. Plead guilty to that, right?
And I would add that I recommended he plead to the misdemeanor marijuana because I was in discussions with his parole officer at the time, who indicated that a misdemeanor plea likely would not result in a revocation. So I recommended he do that based on the totality of the circumstances with all these felony charges pending. And it was an easy way to be done. He had been in jail for quite some time on a hold by the time we entered the plea, and I think you can see the sentence of the court was 5 days parish jail, which, I mean, he had been in jail quite some time, and that covered him. And we felt that would, take care of his parole issue based on my discussions with his parole officer at the time.
Okay, can you address now the contraband?
Yeah, first, I'll let Mr. Simpson go after me, but on the contraband, there were multiple people charged with that incident, which occurred here at the Iberville Parish Jail. Mr. Simpson was working as a trustee. He would go out with a group of other guys and they would pick up trash on the side of the road and that types of stuff. And there was some contraband that got introduced into the jail. Multiple people got charged, but at the end of the day, the district attorney's office didn't feel that the charges against Mr. Simpson were warranted, based on a couple of the co-defendants exonerating Mr. Simpson, giving written statements that he had no knowledge of the contraband, and those charges ultimately were dismissed in their entirety against Mr. Simpson.
Mr. Simpson, you want to say that?
I was a part of a litter abatement crew, and our job was to go out around the parish and pick up trash. And on the morning of the incident, one of the other guys who was arrested on a charge with me, he asked me to grab some cigarettes in a lighter form. And I grabbed what I thought was some cigarettes in the lighter, and I gave it to him. And immediately, once the authorities, was the warden and Detective Moore came, I let him know what my role was in it, and I told him I didn't know nothing about it. And when they asked me, I told them everything I knew. And like Mr. Bourlon put in this summary, Detective Moore let him know that I fully cooperated with the investigation. I had no knowledge of that at all.
How many people's on that crew?
It was 4 of us.
4. So everybody got in trouble?
Yes, ma'am.
And I would also note that there was another individual that wasn't part of that crew that was charged, and that was the female who deposited the narcotics, and she wrote a detailed statement stating that she didn't know Mr. Simpson, he had no knowledge of it, and it was coordinated between her and some other inmate. He just, I'm sure y'all hear this a lot, but he was in the wrong place at the wrong time on 2 occasions. The first one, if he wasn't asked by the ministry to drive this Smith guy, he's never in the vehicle. On this one, he was trusted enough at the jail to be a trustee and have the freedom to go out on the work crew. And there's been no other complaints. And I think there's been some positive statements made. I don't know if they were in the report by our sheriff and other members of our law enforcement that, Mr. Simpson that was bad circumstance, but other than that, he's been a model inmate here. And of course, he's been here almost 3 years now on this hold. Hopefully y'all take all of this into consideration. But had he not been in the vehicle with Mr. Smith, had he not been with the guys that were coordinating this contraband issue, we wouldn't be here today.
Thank you. I didn't recognize your godmother, Miss Harris, and she wants to speak on your behalf. Miss Dorothy, would you like to say something now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead.
Greetings. Thank you all. I've been in Coy life since Coy was in elementary school, and his life has never been easy. His mother loved him dearly. She did her best she can with them. His grandparents practically raised him, but his mother, no disrespect to you, Coy, was a woman of the streets and was prostituting, and she died from that sickness because of that. She ended up dying with AIDS, and I'm sorry, Coy, no disrespect. And so his grandparents were older people that practically raised him and had him in a part of the church house and stuff like this here. But Coy was young, and his parents was dead, his mother and his father. His father, I don't know too much of him, wasn't basically in his life, but I know his mother. And they died before he was even sentenced to go to penitentiary at a young age. A child at 17 years old had to go to penitentiary to grow to be a man. He learned to be a man in penitentiary. I was in the courthouse the day that he was sentenced for his time to go to penitentiary with my now deceased son. So they're like brothers, and that's my godson. And he never had that proper guidance when he came home and stuff like that. He came home thinking he was coming home to a lot of love, and the world changed, the people changed, and he just didn't have no place to stay stably. His daughter, she had him with him, but because she had a firearm, the parole officer wouldn't let Coy stay with his daughter, and he had no job, no financial income, period. He wasn't put into no type of placement or into no type of program to really help him. The parole officer or the city in New Orleans, they didn't really give Coy the proper help he needs. Coy really need mental help as well, because a young child, a young boy going into penitentiary and doing 20 something years as a boy. He hadn't even developed as a man when he went into penitentiary. And when he came home, I feel like he felt the world was going to be the same and a lot of love was going to be exhibited, and it wasn't. You know, people make promises to you and they didn't. I had cancer, so I was limited to what I can even do for him because I have to stay with my son and stuff like that because of my sickly situation. And I believe if Coy can get the proper help that he need, you know, he can come out here and be a productive citizen if you allow him to have one opportunity, because his whole life has been full of drama. Like I say, when he came home, his grandparents, everybody mainly was dead. Or he had a sibling, a brother, but they were raised in two different mental states because the brother was raised with his dad parents and Coy was raised with his grandmother. So the brother have a productive life, but Coy they have their mindsets are two mental different things. And Coy, he a good person.
Harris, can you wrap it up for us, please, ma'am? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying. Okay, what I'm just saying, I pray that you all would hear me and listen and give him the opportunity to come out here in this world and be productive in life and give him an opportunity to really live a life as a man. And another thing I would like Denise to tell, his daughter is trying to get in and she can't get in. She's trying to register to get in. She can't get in.
Okay. Well, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate your remarks. I'm sorry she's having trouble getting in. So, Mr. Simpson, did you hear your daughter was trying to join, but she's having trouble. She wants to be here and speak in your behalf, but we're going to move on. So look, you've been in jail almost 3 years. In June, it'll be 3 years. Mr. DuPont did a good job explaining the violations. I'm a little concerned about the marijuana, and I'm concerned about where will you go? If you're not revoked today, tell me what your plan would be. Where would you go?
Well, for one, I finally have a chance to get some employment through the sheriff. The sheriff, he introduced me to somebody at a plant called Formosa in Baton Rouge. They don't worry about criminal background, and I know how to paint. You know what I'm saying? And
well, so where would you live?
I contacted some people from the parole project. They're gonna hook me up with a place to stay as well as the first 72. They told me if either one I can go to until they find an apartment, affordable apartment for me, I can sleep there at the place. They got a little program called a couch. Until the bed come open in the back, it's 6 beds. If all 6 beds are full, you sleep.
First 72?
First
the couch program?
Ma'am?
You know about the first 72 with the couch?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. The first 72 hours.
New Orleans?
Yes, ma'am.
New Orleans.
It's on Gravity Street. I know it's right by it's not far from the courthouse.
Right by the jail. Yeah, I know where it is. But so you want to go to New Orleans and you want to work for the plant?
I'd rather go to the parole project in Baton Rouge because it'd be closer to the job.
The plant Formosa that he has an opportunity to possibly go work at is here in this area.
That's what I thought. That's why 72 is throwing me off a little bit.
So I'm saying I have either option for a housing plan with either or. But I would rather the people in Baton Rouge at the parole project because it gives me a chance to be closer to Formosa. And I already have the OSHA training and I don't need a switch.
Listen, so who did you talk to at the parole project?
I talked to Anthony.
Anthony?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else y'all want to say to us before we vote?
No, I would just like to point out that I believe Mr. Simpson had been on parole for about 3 years prior to this incident, which he's being held on, and he was trouble-free, had no arrest or anything like that. And clearly he got caught up in a bad circumstance traveling with this Rondell Smith fella, which resulted in why we're here today. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you give him another opportunity here. Mr. Simpson, before we started, asked me to throw this out there as well. If y'all aren't completely comfortable with lifting the hold altogether, he wanted to know if y'all might consider maybe a 6-month work release sanction, if that made you more comfortable, where he could, get his feet on the ground a little better before getting out. But, I don't think you'll be disappointed with Mr. Smith with Mr. Simpson in the future.
All right, thank you, Mr. DuPont. Look, I'm ready to vote. I did have work release on my mind. I think that he needs a little more help to try to. I like his parole project plan, but usually when they're supported, they'll usually be here or let us know. I don't have anything in the record that confirms that. I agree, Baton Rouge is probably better for you than New Orleans, Mr. Simpson. And I do note that in the record, you had been on supervision for a little while and you had no other violations. So I'd be willing, in lieu of, to give you. Yes, sure. Go ahead.
When do I get it? Thank you.
Yeah. And I didn't mention this. Go ahead and ask your question. Mr. Prater has a question before I vote.
Because I was a little bit concerned about the 2021 arrest. And you say you were taking COVID supplies? Is that what it was?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but the police report says you told the trooper y'all were delivering Bibles.
It was Bibles. It was Bibles, food. It was non-perishable items that people from Louisiana, inmates from Louisiana State Penitentiary had donated.
Yes, but there were no Bibles there, but
it was for the healthy.
And that maybe I can help clarify it a little.
Let me finish, please.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
According to the police report, there were no Bibles in there, and you said y'all were delivering Bibles. The trooper says it's an unusual time of night to be delivering Bibles, that you didn't know where the church was. You told him you were a minister, and then you told him it was a rental car. And it seems strange now. You told him it was your brother's car, and it turned out to be, when they said it wasn't your brother, you said a brother in Christ. And I'm confused about this 2021 deal. It seems like even with your criminal record of armed robbery and other things, that now all of a sudden bad things keep happening to you, but they're not your responsibility. And then the non-perishable items that you're delivering turns out to be cocaine that's sealed inside green bean cans. But I find that hard to believe, that you didn't quite know about any of these drugs, yet you had marijuana with you. So you're willing to go with the marijuana, but not the stolen guns or the green bean cans full of cocaine. Could you help me, sir, figure this out?
Mr. Simpson, explain to this gentleman how that day went as far as point A to point B to point C. You started in New Orleans on a bus with other individuals, right? All right, go through that whole chain of events.
From total community action, where I was serving my community service, TCA, we went from there on a van to LSP to the front gate. We loaded all the supplies up on a van. We went from the van to Leavenworth and Baton Rouge. I want to say it's somewhere on Sherwood. And from there, we bagged all of the bags up that had the boxes up that had to go to the churches where we had to deliver to. We went to one church in Lafayette and two in Rain. One I remember for sure in Rain was St. Joseph Catholic Church. I remember that one for sure.
But Coy, you were riding on the bus for the first few stops, right?
Yes, sir.
When were you asked to get in the vehicle and ride with Rondell Smith?
In Baton Rouge, when we got back to Living Word, when we was boxing all the supplies up, Miss Chapman and Mr. DeLone asked me to ride with him because it was mostly older people and they had a lot of women, and me and him was maybe like the two biggest, the two strongest to lift the boxes.
But you didn't start the day with Rondell Smith.
No, sir.
You rode on the bus. At some point, they asked you if you would continue on with him.
Yes, sir.
So had they not asked you to ride with him, you'd have never been in the vehicle. And the vehicle was a rented vehicle. It turned out it was rented to his wife, I believe, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the contraband that gentleman was just asking about, was all that hidden in different parts of the vehicle?
Yeah, they said they found it somewhere. They had to remove something from the truck, like the face. They had to unscrew it or something like that.
The report stated that the guns you had to disassemble the vehicle to be able to see the guns. And I think these green bean cans may have been in the trunk, or they were concealed behind the wall of the trunk, if I remember correctly. But they wouldn't have been visible to anybody unless you knew they were there. Hopefully that helps clarify it to some extent. If there's any more questions, I think he'd be happy to address them.
Did you know this fellow that wife rented this car? Did you know him previously?
No, sir.
You never?
At the TCA meeting.
What were you on parole for?
A robbery that happened in 1995.
Guess you had served how long?
23 years and 2 days.
What was your total sentence?
80 flat years, but I had it commuted to 40 when the Fourth Circuit found that it was excessive and illegal.
Okay. Did anybody get hurt in this armed robbery?
Not at all. It was more of a fight that turned into a chain snatching and.
Okay. Okay.
Any questions? No. All right. Thanks for that clarification. Mr. Simpson, my vote today will be in lieu of revocation to send you to a 6-month work release program. And I want to do that because I need you to have a more firm, solid plan with the parole project. And hopefully we can, the work release will be able to secure that job with Formosa to get your feet on the ground with them.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
I would also add special condition after you're released, fully released, and you're still on supervision, that you do have a substance abuse evaluation and you comply with anything that may be recommended in terms of treatment.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Crater?
Okay, so just for clarification, he's gonna stay in jail
For 6 months in work release.
6 months in work release. And the sheriff also has got him a job when he gets out, correct? So the sheriff is in favor of this.
Right.
That's our understanding.
That's our understanding. 6 months will help him get his parole project, reentry and housing plan in place.
Okay, I'll concur with that, but I want you to if you can see the screen, look at my eyes, because I'm hard to convince about some things, and don't think that I'm convinced about everything I heard today. All right, rest assured, I ain't that easy. Thank you. Now, good luck with your work release.
Thank you, Mr. Frank.
Mr. Tilley?
I agree with Mr. Renat. The training and get on a work release program.
All right.
Thank
That's the plan. Now, Coy Simpson, we don't want to see you again.
No, not at all, Mr. Johnson.
All right. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. DuPont, thank you very much. That concludes our business at Iberville. We're going to sign off. It's 10:28.
That'll work.
He's wearing handcuffs. I think his attorney forgot.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, that's, we even convinced one guy who was,
Oh, we got a hot mic in there. Like you only have to convince the one guy. We got a new sheriff in town, Woody. I like that sheriff. I think we all like that sheriff. This hearing was about to kind of go through the motions. It was about to go to vote. And he's like, no, not so quickly. And then he goes in with the tough questions. He pulls out the all of the inconsistencies. And then I love that at the end there. He's like, I hope you can you can see my eyes. I'm not so easily convinced. He is going to be, I think, the next Roche. I was excited about him when I first saw that he was on the board. And then I was hoping he would meet that kind of expectations. And I think that he will. We have a new sheriff in town. I wrote my Fiverr guy to make a new emoji. And then Richard's he's on vacation today. He usually takes him about a week to make it. And Richard, I think, is going to put something together. While we're here, just thank you, Zeza, for the memberships and the $5. Congrats, Pam, for being member for 10 months straight. Jesse for being member for 10 months straight. Although I know you guys have been here much longer. Killis for the 3, and German for the very expensive coffee. Thank you. There's a snake in my boot. So my kids love Toy Story. They've grown up on it. So we have those toys, and we have the, the classic, Woody toys and stuff. Since I've had 800 subs, yeah. All right, guys. So we have a come to Jesus moment here. I don't think we should stream all day. You can of course get the hearings on Louisiana website. Should we call it a day, and so we can save some for premieres? What should we do? Based Sheriff Remigius. Yeah. I mean, it's really like, I think it's like having, and this was something interesting, by the way. I guess we can share this for the unpacking. What Richard had found, this guy, I guess he wasn't found guilty, but he was one of the 5 arrested for smuggling narcotics into prison. So he's listed here as one of the, and they don't take that lightly. They don't like people smuggle, but I guess because this only happened recently, March 15, 2023, a year ago, and they didn't bring this up, right? This had nothing to do with today's hearing. So maybe he was just found not guilty, and because of that, they're not bringing it up. One more, says Jesse. One more, says Storm. I'm up for more. Jim Orleans. Synergy 3 months straight. Erica's therapy soon. I'll have to go anyways. Supermom Christina. April Fools. I called I texted my landlord today, and I'm like, I went to the casino. I lost all my money. I'm going to be a month late on rent. And he didn't even buy it for a second. He's like, April Fools. I'm like, really? Not even one? Apparently, I'm not the first one to come up with that joke. He says that it's been happening for as long as he's been a landlord. So I thought I was funny, but he didn't buy into it. More, please. Can I have some more, please? All right, we could do one more, but then that is going to be it. That is going to be it because we want to save things for the premieres, right? It's not fun to just watch it. I wonder if the next hearing we're going to have the preacher lead the hearing, because the preacher didn't lead the hearing yet, right? He hasn't said much. He hasn't spoken much. Too early to make any statements, though. I do like people that talk softly, carry a big stick, so to speak. They don't need to hear themselves talk, which is the opposite of what you'd expect from a preacher, right? Most preachers like to hear themselves preach. Yeah, he hasn't said much. But maybe he's just waiting for something meaningful to say. That's right, Shaw. Mandu sent emoji with you was talking. I could listen and chew gum at the same time. Let me know your thoughts. So Richard sent an emoji. Let's see, where's my inbox? Yeah, I want a mic drop from the preacher too. We'll probably get one. I see a Woody Sheriff here. I'll add it in here. Let's see what you guys think. You know how it works, by the way. YouTube, allows a certain amount of emojis depending on the members. So for example, we need 25 more members. No, we need 25 more members for us to get one more new emoji. And when we lose members, they take away an emoji. It's interesting how they do that. So I have to remove an emoji to add an emoji. So let's remove, I'm going to remove the duck. Uh-oh, they're here. It looks like the cockroach, I think. This looks like a roach.
Good morning. Committee on Parole is reconvening. We're at David Wade Correctional Center on Monday, April 1st, 2024. It's 10:35 a.m. My name is Cheryl Renatza, serving as chairman of today's parole panel. My colleagues on the panel, to my left, Mr. Steve Prater, and to my right, Mr. Chucky Tillis. Would staff, Warden, would you introduce yourself and have your staff introduce themselves, please?
Good morning.
Morning.
Michelle Dozot, Warden.
Not been here.
Tammy Wynn.
Danny Henshaw.
Is that everybody? Okay, Mr. Knight, good morning. Would you restate your name for us and tell us your DOC number, please?
Dalton Knight, 614-897.
All right, Mr. Knight, let me just read some identifying information and ask you to confirm that. So you are Dalton Knight, DOC 614897. You're classified as a first felony offender. You're currently serving a 7-year sentence for indecent behavior with a juvenile. You were sentenced originally in September of 2013. And then you were afforded probation. You were revoked in May of 2019. So your parole eligibility date was determined to be February 23rd, 2020. You don't earn good time, so your full term release date is October 24th, 2024. Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, your case this morning has been assigned to Mr. Tillis. Would you answer his question?
How you doing, Mr. Knight? How long have you been inside?
Next May will be 5 years. I've been here 4 years and 10 months.
Have you taken any classes or training since you've been there?
I've completed all 4 phases of the Louisiana second class, anger management, reentry, in the NA program now.
Do you feel that you've been helped?
Sir?
Do you feel that you've been helped?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anything you do differently when you get out?
No, I just about figured out everything that needs to be done, what I've done wrong and what I couldn't be doing. I want to live out on the street.
And if you get out, what are your plans?
I plan to go back to Texas to live and resume my social security and minister to homeless people on the street.
Any further questions?
Okay, in 2013, you got put in jail for this offense, for the original offense, and then you got 7 years. Evidently, a lot of that was suspended. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How much time did you spend at that time?
14 months.
Okay, and then you got out, and then you were revoked and put back in.
On probation for 5 years, and I done 4.5 years and got revoked.
Okay. But the 4.5 years wasn't inside the jail, though, right?
No.
Okay, so you got some pretty good breaks to begin with. correct?
Correct.
Okay, and if you are given parole today, if you aren't given parole today, you're going to be getting out anyways in 6 or 8 months, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So you're wanting another break. Now you got a break at sentencing. You screwed up. You got to break it when you got sentenced, and then you screwed up again. And now you wanting us to give you a chance again, just for the benefit of getting out some 5 months, 4 months early, correct?
Dad and health problems too, you know.
Yes. Okay. I don't have.
Why were you revoked in 19?
Ma'am,
Why were you revoked in 2019?
when I was,
Why did they revoke you?
they said it was for drugs, but I didn't, they weren't drugs in my system, because I don't do drugs, never have done drugs.
Was it for failure to report and you moved without permission and there were some nude photos on your phone and you failed to do or comply with the sex offender treatment?
I had done all that. I mean, what reason I didn't report, I was in the hospital the day I got out the day they arrested me. And I had tried to notify a probation officer, and never could get a hold of them.
All right, well, the record does say something different. I noticed that lately you've been in and out of the hospital. What, do you have a serious medical issue?
Yeah, the heart trouble.
All right, Warden, is there anything you want to add?
Mr. Knight's been here since 2019. He's received 1 write-up. He did, I think his summary reflects he was in phase 3, but he has completed the sex offender treatment program. In regards to his medical issues, he's had 8 stents in his heart and he has a previous leg injury that he still has some issues with. But as far as his rule violation reports, I mean, he doesn't really have any significant issues here. He hasn't been any disciplinary issue here while he's been housed here at David Wade.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Mr. Knight, is there anything you'd like to say to us before we vote?
No, if granted parole, I'll do everything I have to stay out of there, and I won't be back, that's for sure.
Good to hear. Okay, I think we're prepared to vote. Mr. Tillins?
I think that I'm going to have to deny.
Okay. Mr. Crater?
I'll deny it. If you need I'll deny it. I don't think that it's worth the risk to the citizens of Louisiana to allow you out early at all. And I hope when you do get out, you go to Texas and your health's okay.
Mr. Knight, I do concur with my colleagues. You failed probation for reasons other than what you stated. So my vote today is to deny your parole. You'll have a full term date a little later this year. We wish you well. Good luck.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Notso.
Yes.
Showing one of our offenders that was supposed to be on the docket today, I think is showing at Jefferson, but he's currently here. I'm not sure if they were aware of that.
Okay, thank you. He's still there, yeah.
Well, there you have it. And we're going to add a little bit more context when we show this premiere in real person, because we saw his parole hearing in 2021. And I actually aired it just in October. So you might have seen it. It has like 20,000 views, so it'll be hit and miss. But he does go over the reasons why he was revoked. And it was great that Mr. Nasser brought them all up, because I just watched that hearing this morning because Richard puts in the notes, hey, he had this hearing. So then I go and look it up and I say, oh, we did it already. So I watched his old hearing, and he had nude pictures on his phone and he didn't report and he had all these excuses. Well, he also had a mask on, Jesse. So it was possible that it was, but yeah, we did see him before. And I'll tie those two hearings together, but it's interesting to see that he got revoked. And I just love what the sheriff said. I don't know about you, but I'm falling deeply in love with this sheriff. I love what he said. He said, what did he say? It's not worth the risk to release you early. And when you get out, I hope you go to Texas. There must be some type of rivalry. Yeah, he has a distinct voice. There must be some type of rivalry between Texas and Louisiana where they send prisoners to each other. It's it's kind of, can you imagine getting like, like the you're getting roaches sent to you from Louisiana? Like how would as a governor would you accept that as a reality? And the preacher did not do a good job at all. Kept it short, didn't really say anything, but he also said no on the parole, and he said no, so maybe he's just a kind of talk softly kind of guy. Well, again, we'll have to learn. We'll have to see many more hearings before we pass judgment. But they have 3 more. I think they have only 3 more hearings on the docket. We're not going to go through all of them today. As much fun as I'm having hanging out with you guys, we'll make sure that we get these in the premieres. So yeah, it was fun hanging out. I think I'll leave the live stream up. Why not? For those who, I guess, want to see the live streams, I don't know. You tell me. But I'll see you tonight. And again, we're going to have a Connecticut hearing tonight, which is just wild. It's about this another cockroach who ends up getting engaged to his prison therapist, and his prison therapist resigns so she can marry a cockroach, if you can make that up. But see ya. Thank you everyone for being here. Yeah, great for the surprise too. I'm happy I'm able to do it. I'm lucky to have had a quiet morning so far. Yep, see you guys tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you for the super chats and the memberships. It's so good seeing all of you. And with that, I'll let you go.